Kruminar panate arumai Ektunirar parandura pana Dari nore nare ana Kruminar panate arumai Ektunirar parandura pana Dari nore nare ana
Maybe you have known koi fish for a long time. Koi have a variety of colors, but because of the large number of colors, it is difficult to map or divide the coloring patterns of koi fish. So in this video I will discuss a little about pattern mapping and koi coloring in general. Actually, there are only two types of koi fish patterns. First, the lateral line pattern, or color pattern on the belly and the right and left sides of the fish's body. The second is the linear markings, or color patterns on the koi fish's back. Of course, we are more familiar with koi with linear color patterns, such as kohaku, showa, sank, goshiki, goromo, and okiba. And of course because this type is more popular in the koi fish hobby world. However, today we will discuss older genetics first. Koi fish with lateral line color patterns. First, what is the lateral line color pattern? Lateral line is a category of koi fish that has color patterns on the sides of the body, including the stomach, and a little on the back. The shape of the pattern, extending from the head to the tail of the fish's body, horizontally. The oldest example of this type of koi fish is the asagi type. Yes, that's right. The oldest and first type of koi fish in the world is asagi. Based on this fact, the genetics of the lateral line color pattern are genetics that are present from birth in all types of koi fish. For example, asagi, the belly is red, extending from head to tail at the boundary of the swimming line, on the side of the fish's body, although it rises backwards, and sometimes fills the fish's body all the way to the fish's face. Basically the pattern is sideways, extending from the head to the fish's tail. To differentiate them, let's look at kohaku, which has a basic crossed pattern on its back. The color pattern will look like from right to left of the fish's back. However, on asagi the color pattern will extend from the head and tail, especially on the bottom of the fish's body. So these two color patterns have different positions and contrasts, as well as opposite color patterns horizontally versus vertically. Koi fish that have a single color, such as karashi, chigoi, ogon, even karasugoi, actually fall into the lateral line color pattern group, because the color of their stomach tends to be lighter than the color of their body and back. Why? Because the basic genetics of the magoi fish, is that the color of the belly will appear lighter. Likewise with the doitsu koi fish, the dominant color is the lateral line color pattern, such as Shisui, Kikokuryu, Kumonru, and Matsukawabake. Uniquely, koi with lateral line color patterns have a tendency to form a kind of net pattern on the fleshy skin between the scales on their backs. This pattern appears in Asagi and Matsuba, and in types of koi with metal scales, such as Ogon, or other Moyamonahikari groups. Secondly, what is linear line marking? We can easily see this type of koi, namely with the example of kohaku. What is visible is the dominant color pattern on the back of the fish. The color patterns on the back will be clearly exposed when the koi fish swim in the pond. They will look beautiful and charming. Therefore the kohaku, showa and sank groups are the most popular types. The dominant pattern on the back is not actually a dominant gene. The linear color patterns of koi, such as kohaku, are the result of hard work of selective breeding carried out by Japanese farmers for decades. It is truly pure and extraordinary hard work to select, store, especially maintain and breed secondary genes, so that they become dominant for generations. It looked like the work of magic. At first the dark red and black pattern on the back looks like it is making the fish dirty. But if bred seriously to maximize the appearance of the pattern, the results are extraordinary. But did you know, the universe is still working its magic on koi fish, showing the anomaly of the Utsurimono family, or popularly known as Shiro Utsuri. But before that we didn't discuss the third pattern outside of lateral and linear lines, because while we were going to discuss the crazy mutation in Shiro Utsuri which then gave birth to the cool Showa Sanshoku, we need to take it back to the old breed, the Matsukawabake. In ancient times, when Japanese farmers were preoccupied with Asagi and its red color pattern, they developed Sarasa kohaku, but in the process black Asagi emerged which never stopped mutating. Namely koi fish that have the Matsukawabake gene, a koi with mutant genetics, in its black pigment. Matsukawabake is a fish that is not very stable, can be white or black. This gene then gives birth to a fish with a more stable mutation, namely Utsurimono. This black gene is not specific. The non-dominant color gene is found in the lateral line color pattern or linear color pattern, even though it is born from fish with lateral color patterns. This gene, spread throughout the fish's body, is part of an ancient self-defense system in the dark lake water. This wild but beautiful gene was brought together through crossbreeding with kohaku, which then gave birth to Showa Sanshoku. What is the difference between Showa and Sank, or Utsurimono and Beko? The difference is that black in Beko is part of a linear color pattern, whereas in Utsuri it is an anomaly, not just linear, not just lateral, but both. Before we finish, we will discuss something interesting. the result of a cross between koi fish with a lateral pattern and koi fish with a linear color pattern, namely the goshiki type. Goshiki was created from koi cultivation in 1918 by crossing asagi with kohaku. The meaning of goshiki: there are 5 colors, and it is true that a cross between asagi and kohaku produces a bluish red-gray-white koi with a mesh back pattern, as well as a hypnotic red back pattern. This cross not only presents the typical asagi back pattern from the lateral line color pattern, with the typical kohaku back pattern from the linear line color pattern, but also raises it to a higher level. The red pattern on the back of the goshiki looks like a beautifully lit red plate or sticker floating above the mesh pattern. Okay, this is where our discussion should end, but keep in mind that this division is not straight, and the clear dividing lines in each genetic breeding can have various forms. Sometimes the father's and mother's genes appear, sometimes the grandfather's and grandmother's genes appear, sometimes the ancestors' genes appear. That is why strict selection of baby koi fish remains important in the long process of selective breeding.
Japan's world-famous nishikigoi are a source of national pride, a crucial part of the culture richness, luring fish lovers around the world to come. Nishikigoi are highly regarded for their artistic value, with such vivid and beautiful patterns that they have been called swimming jewels. Moreover, nishikigoi have a calm temperament and the colorful forms as they gracefully glide through the water evoke a peaceful image. Nishikigoi has become a commodity in constant demand, hence many dealers and breeders have no scruples to offer stock and make a few bucks on the way. There is somehow justification for outlets to accept all the surviving fry from a home spawn and palm them off at profit to the inexperienced and unexpected public. They add the tag, Japanese koi with no shame, their argument being that, yes, they are cheap, but my profit is higher. The practice is the same as having a mix of dog breeds at home, and unethical allowing to interbreed, and worse, for your profit. You only can get best nishikigoi by buying directly to the Japanese nishikigoi breeder. The results of the spawning exercise, whether those young koi are kept or sold, or given away, must do koi as a species full justice. The object of breeding should be refinement, not regression. In plain language, only if the youngsters meet the minimum of criteria for their variety, ought they be allowed to survive. Never, ever retain koi just for the sake of keeping them alive. Do not sell the product of your culling alive for any reason.
every time before the harvest season, and after the harvest season. Thousands of koi fish from Japan will flood dealers throughout the world, starting from September until just before winter, and will continue with various koi shows when spring comes until early next fall. Koi fish prices will be quite cheap during the late summer period and throughout the fall, then will peak from spring to summer.
Because of the koi's maximum size of about 80 centimeters, ponds smaller than 15 meter cubic are completely unsuitable. Most often, koi pond sizes between 30 and 50 meter cubic are chosen. You cannot cultivate plants in koi ponds, as the koi regard plants as a tasty additional meal. Swamp zones and perimeter planting are possible and indeed beneficial, as plants remove nutrients from the pond water that would otherwise nourish algae. Vertical pond walls offer two advantages: firstly, of making more water volume available for the same outline, and secondly, making it difficult for herons to eat the koi.
Around 2018 to 2022, the world of the koi carp hobby reached a new point: publicity and public ratings. Along with advances in information technology and digital platforms, the koi carp hobby has spread to all corners of the world who are stuck in their homes due to COVID. Exposure to koi shows, koi trips and koi farming events in Japan has increased very sharply. A video about koi carp on YouTube can reach tens of millions of views, which is equivalent to a world-class band's music video. It seems, people all over the world now know what koi carp is. Hundreds of years after the koi carp was domesticated by humans, humans' thirst for beauty seems to have not yet reached the end. Perhaps because in essence, the color composition is never ends.